Hey gaming fans, so today I'm going to be showing my Megalith deck profile. This is a deck that I really just put together using whatever I had. I haven't bought that many packs of the Ingnition Assault set, but I mean, most of the deck is commons, so I was able to put together, somewhat of a pretty decent deck. This is my first attempt at the deck, so I'm always welcome to hear your thoughts and improvements to the deck and whatever you think would be good. So let's start off with the first monster, Manju of the 10,000 Hands. Now this is obviously designed for ritual decks, as it is when it's summoned or flip summoned, you can add a ritual monster or a ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. This deck doesn't play spell cards, the ritual spell cards, because the monsters themselves act as the rituals. So really you're just going to go for the monster you need. Plus it's a level 4, and there's a lot of level 4 ritual monsters, so you can use him as the ritual tribute as well, which is cool. And also, Senju of the 1,000 Hands. This was the first iteration of Manju. Remember when this came out, there was Senju, and then there was the other guy that pulled out the ritual spell card. I forgot his name right now, but this guy, I've used him a few times in decks, ritual decks. Usually I'll have like one, because he only pulls out a ritual monster card. But that's perfect for this deck because all the monsters pretty much are ritual monsters. He's pretty much the same thing. He just gets you that extra card. I'm also going to try out two of these guys, Jin, Presider of Rituals. I've been debating on this one. The way I'm looking at it is it works as ritual tribute from your hand, but it also, you could use it once from the grave. So if I don't have something in my hand to use as a tribute, I at least could try using him from the grave. On the plus side, he gives the ritual monster, anytime it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you get to draw a card. And what I've noticed about this deck is it's really hard to keep hand advantage because you're using a lot of cards to get these monsters on the field. So that's it for the just the regular monster lineup that I have so far. Obviously, I can tweak it later. So let's get on to the Megalith card. So I'm going to start off by showing off the... Oops, sorry there, hit the camera. I'm going to start off by showing the level 4s. Now these are the ones that require a Megalith card to special summon them. So I got 3 of the Auk, is that how you want to say it? And so this one is pretty much more draw power. However, you have to discard a card, which kind of sucks. So when you ritual summon this guy, you get to draw a card. And then you can use him as tribute material and as a ritual spell, essentially to summon another Megalith card from your hand. It's not bad. Only 1,000 attack, though. What I found is a lot of these monsters actually have a lot of defense more than offense. So 2,700 defense. So if you're not planning on doing anything other than summoning this guy, probably summon him in defense mode. He's got 2,700 body. The next one is Haggith, Megalith Haggith. This one's pretty cool too. When you summon him, you can add a Megalith spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So it's good that when they're summoning, they're somewhat giving you some advantage. Like I said, if the other guy just drew a card, it would be so much better, but you have to discard, which kind of sucks. That's where probably discarding this guy comes in handy, because you could still use his effect. But, and he's got the same thing. When he's on the field, you could use him as a ritual spell card and ritual summon with him. I only have one Ophiel. I think that's how you say it. This card is ritual summon. You could add a Megalith monster from your deck to your hand. So he's cool. I would, definitely want to have more of him. He's a super rare, so I've only pulled one so far. So if I get more, I'll probably add maybe another one to the deck, maybe even 2. He's a little bit stronger. He's 1,600 attack. This guy's 1,300. This guy's 1,600. But again, big defense. So I almost went for the concept of using the whole reverse effects that reverse attack and defense, but I never went with that. So let's get on to the other Megalith cards. So I have 2 of the Phalanx. Again, I probably would want to bump this up to 3. I only have 2 so far, but this is still in testing. And so when you can discard this guy to use him as a ritual spell, essentially to summon these guys. So these guys are important. These are the ones you're going to want to grab if you don't have them in your hand, is the guys that can actually discard their effect to ritual summon one of them. But yeah, he's pretty beefy at 2,500, and he's got a pretty okay effect. He boosts up monsters you control by 300 for each ritual monster in your graveyard, so he's kind of a little bit more of a late game. He'd be pretty big, and he'll boost up all your other guys. Then I got 2 of the Eritron. Again, same idea. You can discard him to ritual summon one of the ritual guys. He's got an okay effect too. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control, you could place 1 ritual monster from your graveyard into the bottom of your deck, and if you do, negate that activation and then destroy it. So he's actually pretty good, and he's 2,000 attack body, 3,000 defense. So if anything, you could just drop him in defense, let him sit there. And I have 3 of these guys, the Belthor. Again, you could discard them. I think that's the trend of this deck. All the 8s have that effect, and all the 4s have the other effect. And this guy, if these guys ritual summon, you can target cards on your opponent controls up to the number of ritual monsters with different names in your graveyard and destroy them. So he's pretty decent, but they gave him a weak body. They only gave him 1,500 attack. I guess they figure if he's going to be blowing up the field, they got to do something to kind of, mitigate his effect. But that's all I have for the monsters. It's a pretty, I tried to keep this a beefy monster deck just to have a lot of monsters to summon. So on to the spells. This is a very important card. Must be played in 3, I think. Megalith Portal. It's amazing. It's a field spell. So the first time you ritual summon monster would be destroyed. And that's the key word there, ritual summoned. So if you bring them back from the grave, this isn't going to affect. If the Megalith monster is special summoned, if it's destroyed by battle each turn, it's not once per turn. And then if a Megalith monster is special summoned, except during the damage step, and this is the key part, you can target 1 ritual monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So that's amazing. So you can continuously bring back those ritual guys that allow you to ritual summon from your hand. And that's what you need. Terraforming, just 1, because there's only 1 allowed in a deck. Book of Moon, I'm putting 2 in there, because I figure if I put these guys in attack mode, a lot of them are weak. So if my opponent tries to attack, I can flip Book of Moon and turn them face down, and they'll have to deal with their beefy defense. That's my only thought on Book of Moon. Plus, it can stop an opponent's play. 1 Monster Reborn. I think that's a pretty standard card in most decks. Even if you don't have anything of your own to reborn, you could take your opponent's monsters. 1 Raigeki to help me clear out the field. And to try and deal with some of the lag in this deck of running out of cards from your hand, a Pot of Avarice. I'm giving it a shot because there's a lot of cards that can end up in the graveyard. All those searchers, the 10,000 hand guys, will end up in the graveyard. So you should be able to use a Pot of Avarice pretty quickly in this. And then just for a little bit more draw power, I just threw in Shard of Greed. I don't know if I'll keep that in there. It was just a thought. I'm like, you set it, or you play it to the field. If your opponent blows it up, they blow it up. If they don't, in 2 turns, you get 2 cards. And if you get 2 Megalith draws right there, you can summon one of them for sure, usually. And the final spell card I'm trying out is Ritual Cage. This is a pretty old one. This one goes back quite a bit. It says you take no battle damage from battles involving a face-up ritual monster you control. So if they try to like OTK you or slam a really big monster into your ritual monster and kill you, you'll take no battle damage. Also, face-up ritual monsters you control cannot be targeted or destroyed by the effects of effect monsters. And I believe a lot of people play, pretty powerful effect monsters today, so this will prevent them from dying by an effect, which is pretty good. Now let's get on to the traps. That's my spell lineup. So for the traps, I got these 2 here, the Megalith Emergence. I'm trying to figure out I don't know if anybody knows this or not, if this works like Call of the Haunted only. But it says you could target one Megalith monster from your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, and place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. So it doesn't read the same way as a Call of the Haunted, where it says to activate it, target a monster, and summon it. So the way this reads, it sounds like you could use it once per turn and keep summoning a monster. I could be wrong about that. I could be, you know, way off. So if anybody knows the rulings on this, please let me know in the comments. Compulsory, just so I can bounce some of them back to my hand if I need to reuse their effect. Even with just the Menju guys, the Thousand Hands guys, you can bounce them back just to get another search out of them. Or, you know, use it defensively to knock your opponent's monster back. And, of course, 3 Solemn Judgments, just to round out some, you know, some kind of a defense against your opponent's cards. Currently, I don't have an extra deck set up for this. I haven't thought about what an extra deck would work for this. But I'm sure most people have their own ideas of what an extra deck would work for this kind of deck. But right now, this is still work in progress. I kind of like this. You know, I think they're kind of fun. You know, being able to use all these ritual monsters like that. But I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. If you've ever tried to build this deck, let me know. Throw some comments down below. And if anybody knows the rulings on this, I'm going to search it out and see if I can find rulings. Because the way I read it, it sounds like you could use it once per turn. But I remember people were confused about that with Call of the Haunted in the past. And they thought they can continuously use it. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.